So one of the first steps we want to do, of course, is pick out the papers we want to use for the background. And so what I've done is I've pulled out some neutral tones, odd pieces that I think will work nicely. Here's my some focal points that I want to use. I'll go over those at another time. And then some of these tissue papers and rice papers that I'll use on a different layer. I would like to use this on a different layer and this on a different layer. And here's some color that I'm going to add in. So I'm going to show you what I've done so far that I didn't feel needed to be filmed. And that is the preparation of the substrate. So I'm working with a series of 3, and I have chosen my pages and prepared my substrates, and I'm going to on 2 of them. And so what I'm going to do is just show you this 3rd one. So I'm going to slide this off because we're going to gesso this down just the way it is. And this is sort of a running folder or down. Okay, so I'm using the wood substrates. All right. So what I did was I started off by using ephemera and covering the edges and bringing it to the front, and this really gives it a nice finished look. You can see how nice and finished it looks. And then what I did was I took the same papers that I have here that we're going to put gesso onto this one, and I just randomly laid them out, and then I gessoed them in place. So I took all 3 substrates, put them in front of me, would pick up one page, tear it into 3 pieces, and place it without a lot of analytical thought. And then once I had all 3 set up, then I looked at them and decided if I wanted to make any changes or resize pieces, and then I glued them down. So all I'm going to do now with you is I'm just taking a liquid text matte gel. You've seen this a million times in videos, but if this is your first time experiencing an art lesson video, then this is for you. So you're taking your gel and you want to put it on your substrate, okay, and get it nice and coated. And then we're going to take our first big piece, which I need to put a little bit more because this is a very large piece, but I love it because it's handwritten and I love the stamp. And we're going to place that down first. And the thing about when you're doing a series like this and something that you want to really turn out in a serious fashion, you really want to take your time with gluing your pieces down to and really going over them so that you don't get any kind of wrinkles or bubbles in them. And sometimes it's just impossible to avoid wrinkles and bubbles, but you really see, like, this is starting to bubble up there already. So what I do is I just take the cake spreader or a credit card, just like everybody else does, and I just want to go over it and work those bubbles out right now before I glue any other piece down, because if you don't do it now and you think you're going to do it later, sometimes the other layers will prevent the bubbles from coming out. And trust me on that one. So get your piece nice and flat before you continue with the next layer. And then I just use that again and put it down. So then we're going to bring on the piece of music right here. And you know, when we're doing mixed media like this, it's not about being fast. This is a piece of art that you're creating and building. It's not an art journal where you're going to slop it down. You don't care about wrinkles. In fact, the funkier the better in an art journal. When you're doing a substrate piece on, a canvas piece, you really want to take your time with it and make sure that it's going to look like a piece of art when you're done with it. That's really a key element. Taking your time at this point when you're working on your substrate. Is that a... See those little bubbles, even though we went over it, really, they sneak in. All right, let's get the next one down. This is that mulberry paper. I love mulberry paper. I think it's so delicate and beautiful. And it's really easy to work with as collage material because it just, as soon as you put a gel on it, it just, really adheres nicely. You don't have to do too much, and you rarely have to get bubbles out of it. That looks nice, huh? Once we gel this, then we're going to let it completely dry on canvas work. You don't want to go on to your next level, really, your next layer, until it's really dry. Not even to add paint or anything of that nature. Work with dry layers, and you're going to really get the results you want. There's nothing worse than hurrying on a piece of art to complete it and then be disappointed in the sloppiness of your canvas or just, how things bleed together and don't look very nice. And you put that time and energy, and also you've done some wasting of good materials. And yes, if we don't like it, we can always go back over it with gesso and white it out. But in mixed media, it becomes really complicated to do that. Okay, this one is a thicker piece, so I'm just going to go over it. This is really, this one and this one are from the same theme of wallpaper. This was a sample wallpaper, and if you have a local wallpaper store, don't hesitate to go to them. And at the end of seasons, when a line is done, they have these big sample books, and most of the time they just throw them out. Some, if you're lucky and they're a nice place and not real greedy, they will actually just give those to you rather than throw them out. But sometimes they'll ask for the cost, the reimbursement of the cost, because sample books will sometimes cost stores. Not all samples are free. Okay, and let's do the same thing. That's a heavy duty piece of just watercolor paper that I teabagged. I dyed with teabag. Okay, and then the last I'm going to add is my color, and I'm going to put it right there down that seam. And this was acrylic ink, so you don't have to worry about anything bleeding. It was just one of my pages that I make when I'm painting, and I have extra paint left over, and then I have my sheet, and I just add it to a sheet, and then the colors blend, and they become wonderful to use in other mixed medias. All right, so you can see I'm just going over it. And when I do this, I'm also taking off any extra gel that I don't really need. And it helps it to dry nice and smooth. And I'm not really dragging it roughly over it. I'm just smoothing it out over it. Okay, so now we're gonna just let it dry like the other two, and then we'll go on to the next layer. Hi, I'm back and everything's dry. So what I've done is I'm working on the next layer, and the next layer has my focal points, and I'm working with birds as my primary focal point, and like a botanical, a special paper, and this strip of a flower. So I have ripped up and I've put them on each, and so all I'm going to do is show you, and then I'll gel them down, how each looks. So this one, you can see the 4 elements that I'm layering on top. And then on this one, it's here, 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 and here. And then the last one I have, I don't have the flower. Instead, I put a little bit of an alphabet that's going to go right up like that. So, but it has a bird nest and just a tree. So it's slightly different. And I'm doing that so that there is a little variation. So at this point now, all I'm going to do is gel down these items. And then when we come back, we're going to move on to the next step of adding layers of tissue paper, rice paper, tea bags, and that kind of stuff. All right. I don't think you need to watch me gel down. But I always start with the bottom. So this one would get gelled down first, then this one, then that one, then that one. So you build from the bottom up. Hopefully that's pretty self-explanatory. This one goes down first, this goes down, then that one, this one. And then on this last one, that goes down first, this on top, and then of course these two. All right, I'll see you in a few. Okay, so everything is dry, and now what I'm going to do is add the next layer, choosing from rice paper and tea bags, a napkin, tissue with stamps on it, and this really cool handmade paper. And I've torn off some pages, pieces, and right now I'm leaning towards maybe putting this right here, tea bag element. I have these words, there's beauty there. I have this tissue paper also that I fussy cut for another project that I didn't use. And I think it would go nice right there. I think this is cool. It's a Jane Austen chapter title. So I'm just gonna bring that right in there, I think. Maybe I can bring it over just a little bit more. I think it fits nicely in there. And we need something up here. Oh wait, maybe I'll bring this down under here. That could look cool. Looks like it's part of the nest. Then I have a piece of this that I might bring up here, just to kind of give a little bit of softness. Oops, I really wanted to use this somewhere, but maybe another layer, maybe in a different layer. So I'm thinking this looks good. So I'm going to gel this down piece by piece, and we'll just see how we like it. So I think I'll start over here. And tissue paper, as you know, is really easy to gel down. It doesn't take much gel, but then once you put the gel on top, and I'm gonna wrap it along over the side too. Okay, so let me show you the other two because I did them also. So here is the second one. I put the hand woven paper up there and along the side here. And then I put tissue paper there, tea bag, and then these words, "We're always with you." And then on the third one, I put the hand woven paper there, tea bag, the word awaken, tea bag, the words awakening to the wonder of you, tissue, and then this ticket stub. Alright, so I'm going to let these dry overnight, and then tomorrow we'll be back and we will add some neutral color paints to blend it in and to begin to make it look cohesive. Alright, see you in the morning.